There's nobody I'd rather have introduced. Good morning. Hello, hello.
Thank you so much for being here, Leader Pelosi.
Good morning.
It's been an eventful couple of months in Washington. Let me just start off with healthcare. When we started off in January, we thought that the Republicans would pass their healthcare bill within weeks. And it would be, their plans were to have it passed into law by now, scary as that is. I'd love for you to talk about how you managed to change the conversation, what really happened, and what do we have to do from here?
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here at CAP. Thank you, Neera, for the intellectual resource that CAP is to our country, to our party, yes, but in a larger sense to our country. And thank all of you for being so much a part of it, intellectually, politically, and support-wise in terms of when you're in the trenches, it's wonderful to know that people are out there caring, pushing, thinking, and supporting. So, the Affordable Care Act, look, here we are. I always like to have a temporal market, place ourselves in time. On Saturday will be 4 months since the inauguration of the President of the United States. 4 months of absolutely nothing. Nothing in terms of jobs, nothing in terms of the job he is doing. And this is what we have to be talking about. Jobs, 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 jobs. And everything we do, we have to see through that prism, including the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act is an honoring commitment of our founders to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A healthier life, the liberty to pursue your happiness because not being job locked or policy locked because of a pre-existing condition. So that's good for the economy. It encourages entrepreneurship and the rest. People can own a business, be self-employed, be a photographer, an artist in any way, and reach their fulfillment, life, pursue their happiness. And so we have the promise that they made that they were going to repeal the Affordable Care Act. It was, 7 years in the making, and they come up with nothing. What they have now, just to cut to the chase, what they have now is deadly. People out there in the campaign, and even as recent last night when I was at CNN, they said, "I will die if the Affordable Care Act is repealed." But you hear that all over. But what the Republicans are doing now, Neera, is I've called them Pontius Pilate. They're going to do terrible things, but they're saying to the states, it's up to you to address the essential benefit package, which seriously jeopardizes all of the essential named for a reason, benefits that are in the bill, including the pre-existing condition. I think it's important for everybody to understand this is part of a bigger, to enlarge the issue. This is about the deconstruction of government, which they have always been about in the Congress. So when people say, how much longer will the Republicans put up with Trump? No, they've been there longer on these issues. Medicare should wither on the vine. The Speaker's own budget has a removal of the guarantee of Medicare. Medicaid, they want to more than decimate, just really undermine it so thoroughly. Of course, we've seen their efforts before to privatize Social Security, something supported by the Vice President of the United States when he was in the House. So it's part of that. And so to have a public-private sort of arrangement for the Affordable Care Act, they want to get rid of that, and that's what they're doing. Costs will go up, services, benefits down. 24 million people will no longer have access to health insurance. 24 million, that's more people than got health insurance. In other words, they're taking us backward from pre-Affordable Care Act. We put on like 21 million people, they're going to take off 24 million people. An age tax if you're 55 to 64, young person tax if you move and kids are mobile, as you know, if you change policy, a 30% tax, undermining Medicare, which is part of their let Medicare wither on the vine thing. So what you understand are all about trickle-down economics, tax breaks for the wealthiest people, and if it trickles down and some good happens, that would be good. If it doesn't, so be it. That's the free market. So what they're doing is not a health care bill. It is a tax bill disguised as a health care bill. Over $600 billion, probably more like $700 billion, will be sucked up to the wealthiest people in the country and corporations at the expense of middle-income people and those who aspire to the middle class. Robin Hood in reverse. So this has to be fought. It is one of the most damaging, if not the most damaging bill to women in legislative history. 7 million veterans will lose their tax credit for their families in this bill. Children will be hurt severely, people with disabilities, seniors, you name it. You name it. But they don't, it's part of the deconstruction of government, which is not even philosophical, it's ideological. So that's what, and we'll lose 2 million, our 4-letter word, jobs. So with the work, I have to give all the gratitude in the world to the outside groups who were participating in all of our town meetings and creating some in the Republican districts to make sure that people had a place, a platform to speak about their own stories and what this meant to them. And that is how we defeated the bill first time out. They won the bill by making it worse, by picking up some of the conservatives to make matters worse. And now they want to make it worse in the Senate. It would be a horrible thing. It's possible they could pass a bill in the Senate. So a great deal is at stake. We don't want to be fear-mongers, but we have to mobilize. And the mobilization outside from the groups has been spectacular. Many of you have participated in that. Thank you, because our inside maneuvering can only go so far. The outside mobilization makes all the difference in the world. Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. And so that is where we see our strength as we go forward with this. And may I just say, many honors are afforded a member of Congress, but being introduced by Donald Sussman is high among them. Thank you, Donald, for your kind words. Where'd he go? Did he leave?
No, he's there. I would just like to note that we do have...
That's an applause line, Donald Sussman. That's an applause line.
We have a number of the leaders of a lot of the online groups that have formed since the election in the audience. We want to also pay tribute to the fantastic work they've been doing to defend the ACA. And also, they've been doing a lot of work on my next topic, which is to ask you a question about the recent events related to Russia. Okay. I know that you did a CNN town hall, but as is the way we live in Washington these days, the president could tweet between events. And so the president did seem to confirm the Washington Post story. And you've handled intelligence before. I think I would love you to talk about what you think happened here, but also just really raise from your perspective what's at stake in the issues here related to Russia. And why are you so concerned about it?
Well, in terms of, there are many facets to this. As as president, is he fit to be president of the United States when he would do such a thing? There's other takes on it. But I have almost over 20 years of experience as the top Democrat on intelligence, or in the leadership of the Gang of Eight, and this is a dedication. You really have to read your stuff, know your stuff, be briefed constantly. You cannot connect the dots if you're helter-skelter, and that's what he has been. He hasn't even taken his briefings. So without being political or anything, because we try not to be in terms of intelligence, what the president did was totally outrageous. Totally outrageous. If it was unwitting, that would be pathetic and dangerous. If it was intentional, that would even be, I don't know what's worse. But the fact is...
Intentional is worse.
Yeah. You think? Well, intentionally he might be able to stop himself. Unwitting, he's a loose cannon. But I agree with you. I mean, we could go... But here's the thing. This Russia thing, the reason he's admitted that he was tired of the Russia-Trump connection investigation, and that's why he went to where he did with Director Comey, is the Russia connection hits us in 3 areas of security. What we're about is security. We take an oath to protect and defend, so the security of our country, seriously jeopardized by the Trump-Russia connection. Economic security, God bless you, affected by his actions, as the security of our democracy. Proven that they have hacked, leaked, disrupted our election. The question is, what is the connection? And that it requires investigation to get the facts to prove the case. Or not. What are the Republicans and the president afraid of? The truth. So when it comes to our national security, here he is putting Putin on a pedestal, undermining NATO, questioning whether we should even have sanctions vis-a-vis Russia in terms of their aggression in Europe, and that is not in our national security interest. That is undermining our transatlantic pillar of strength for us. But casual about it and putting, so what do the Russians have on him politically, personally, financially? Go to the next step. We can't see his tax returns. Show us your tax returns. We can see what the connection is between you and Russia. And by the way, the connection between your self-aggrandizement and the cost to the average person in our country. So this is about our economy as well. And then, of course, as I mentioned, about the security of our democracy. So this is intrinsic. It's fundamental. It's systemic. It's very important that we get to the bottom of it. And there's so much evidence. I myself do not think that the Attorney General should be the Attorney General. He's already violated his recusement. So, again, what, though, is the price that we pay? What is the opportunity cost? All of the above. And we want to be talking about jobs. We're retail people. We're the House of Representatives. We go home every weekend, put our hand on a very hot stove of people saying, when is it my turn? Why is it that I see the rich getting all of this? When is it my turn? And we have to be, and I know you all are working on job creation. I heard Glenn and she was been talk about, and the senator talk about jobs and technology and the rest of that. But we have to, all we do is fight for working families in our country. All we do is walk that walk. We didn't talk the talk, and we paid the price. So we have to remove all doubt in anyone's minds as to these people that they voted for are people who are there to undermine their interest, whether it's their health security, their economic security, or their pension security, and the rest of that. So it is for the good of the country, because the middle class is the backbone of our democracy. And so for the good of the country, forgetting politics and the Democratic Party, for the good of the country, it is essential that we understand that hot stove as we are making our policy and how we go forward. I'm looking at the clock so that I know you have a very tight schedule and so many ideas to hear. But so we will have a discharge petition. Cummings and Eric Swalwell will be introducing it tomorrow. Over 70% of the American people think there should be an outside investigation. We, of course, support all these, independent counsel, if we can get that, special prosecutor. But I don't think that, certainly not Sessions, but Rosenstein, I don't think he should be making the appointment either. I think it has to be somebody not appointed by Donald Trump. But in any event, to get something going, and our intelligence committees trying to do their best. But the power of subpoena, it makes all the difference in the world. And the majority owns the power of subpoena. And that, when you have an incumbent in the White House of a particular party and the Congress owns the power of subpoena, it deters. So we come back to Lincoln, the public sentiment of it all. The groups are out there helping to protect the Affordable Care Act, to talk about jobs, raise the minimum wage, build infrastructure, and the rest. And we have to, while we address these other issues, make sure that people know we're thinking about them. We're not just having a Washington conversation that doesn't relate to their lives. All of this does, but we have to show them the connection. And I'm very proud of my caucus. They're very unified. People say, oh, you keep them all together. I don't. Our values are what unifies our caucus. And they have been brave and courageous and out there fighting for the Affordable Care Act in terms of that current battle. But this is really almost an all-out war. I don't like using those kind of belligerent terms, but an all-out war on the values. We do not share the same values, and I've been there 30 years almost, and this isn't the way it used to be. This is a different breed of cat. So a great deal is at stake, and what I hope for the country is that in the course of the debate, the American people come out the winners, that whoever wins the election, of course I have my priorities there, not only House, but the governors, the state houses, the Senate, however that turns out, that we have a debate as to whose side people are really on. He's going to open up the coal mines and bring jobs back from China. Oh, really? Oh, really? So what is it that we are doing to think about? Hey, by the way, I have a coal miner card from coal that my father gave me. He had it in his office when he was in Congress in the 30s and 40s in the New Deal. And I have the coal miners in my office all the time. I think clean coal is the oxymoron of all time. But I love the coal miners. They love coal and don't want to deal with pensions and health care and all the rest for the coal miners. So this whole thing about people voting for them because they're going to open the coal mines just is emblematic of the challenge that we have from a message standpoint. But we have no problem from a value standpoint that unify us. And again, the humility to accept new ideas, fresh ideas, entrepreneurial thinking about subjects. And even Solomon, when he was going to be king, he was so humble. He was following David. Lord, pray to God, how can I have the wisdom to succeed David? And that humility is what God came to and said, Solomon, because you did not ask for great wealth or longevity or vengeance against your enemies, I will give you such wisdom that you will be renowned for that wisdom. But that humility led to that wisdom. So we all have to be humble enough to accept all the new ideas, whether they're left, right, middle, or wherever they're from, for the good of the American people. And hopefully that debate will either change who's in office or change the minds who are in office on the other side, because nothing less is at stake than the great middle class, which again is the backbone of our great democracy, the greatest country that ever existed in the history of the world. So thank you for the support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ray.
We will now take a very brief pause to refresh the tables. Please. Our program will begin very shortly. Thank you.